Hello there friends! In this video we are gonna put our JavaScript skills to the test, and we're gonna build this thing, the rock, paper and scissors. So we're gonna build a small game, and let's see, we have player and computer with 0 and 0 score. We hit let's play and we get presented by this. So we can choose an option. Let's go with paper. Come on. There we go. What's up, computer? Bring your i7 back home, because we are better. Okay, anyway, let's get started. Let's start building this thing out. I'm gonna attach in the description a folder. I just cut out these three rock, paper, scissors PNGs that you can use in your folder, which I'm gonna attach it. So we have it attached here in the assets. And the other things we have, just an app.js, index.html, and a style.css. But yeah, make sure to get these off in my description down below. I'm gonna post it on GitHub or something. So yeah, let's get started. Let's generate a project here. We're gonna call this rock, paper, and scissors. Like so. My computer is making some weird noises. Hold on. Oh, that actually worked. Okay, great. So here we go. This is what we have. And let's open this up in live server. So I had the old one open, so the finished project. Let me just open the new one so we can see. And yeah, obviously it's currently empty. So let's add some things in here. Well, let's attach our style.css first. So we're gonna attach it like so. And our script.js down here. Script, source, app.js. Perfect. It's making noise again. Okay. Shh. Okay, good. Okay, so here what we're gonna do is actually we're gonna build a whole section that's gonna contain like the score, it's gonna contain the intro screen, and then it's gonna switch to the game screen. So I'm just gonna make one section for this. So it's gonna be one big section with the class of game, okay? So this is the whole game, literally. We're gonna place it in this one big section. So here we're gonna make a class, and I'm gonna make one for the score. So here we're gonna put the player, computer, 0, 0, and which is gonna increment depending on who wins. So we create a div for that named score. And here I'm gonna create two classes, one for the player and one for the computer. So I'm gonna do player score for this one, like so. And here I'm gonna just add a h2. I'm gonna name this player, and I'm gonna add a p with 0. And here, I'm gonna make another one, computer score, which is kind of gonna be the same thing. So h2, computer, and then we're gonna add a p again with 0. Okay, so we have our scoreboard done. So outside of our scoreboard, we need to make the two pages. So we make the one where you start the game and the actual game. So let's make an intro div here. And here I just wanna add, let's just add a title, rock, paper and scissors, like so. And then I'm just gonna add a button here, and that's gonna say let's play. All right, so that's literally the whole thing that we need. Nothing much, nothing more. So the actual match that we're gonna build is down here. So we're gonna add a div with the class of match, and here I'm gonna add just a title there that's gonna say choose an option, and when you win it's gonna update and it's gonna say player wins, computer wins. So that's gonna be called the winner class. Okay, so whoever wins is gonna get, actually let's make this a h1, let's do h2, like so. So the winner class, I'm gonna add a choose an option for now. Hit save. The other thing we need is the actual hands. So I'm gonna make a class of hands, you know, the ones that go like this. Yeah. I'm gonna add two images here, so the ones we have in the folder. So by default, I'm gonna start both of them as rock, as rock. And I'm just gonna copy paste this one down here, and one of them is gonna be the player hand. So the one above is going to be the player hand, and the one below is going to be the computer hand. And the thing we need to do with this one is actually we're going to have to rotate it, because they're both like this. So we need one to be rotated, so they're facing each other. Good. So other than that, after our hands class here, we're gonna need a class with the options. So what you can choose, like rock, paper, and scissors. So I'm gonna make a class of options here. Here we're gonna have 3 buttons. So I'm gonna have a button with a class of rock, like so. This is gonna be rock. I'm gonna put everything with lowercase, and you're gonna see why. So make sure you have everything in lowercase. I really don't want to mess this up because we're gonna eventually get this text content of this rock in here. So just make sure everything is lowercase, and then we're not gonna have a problem. So classes, text, everything, because we're gonna switch this out with whatever we're gonna choose. So here, right? So even these are, everything is lowercase. So here I'm gonna copy paste this 2 more times. Then it's gonna be one with paper. So paper class again, and scissors, like so, scissors, good. And that's everything we need. So let's take a look how this looks, and it's gonna look horrible. Nice. Well, we're gonna make this nicer. Let me exit out of YouTube. Let's go back here. I'm gonna go to our CSS. I'm gonna close this one, and I'm gonna try to fit this thing in here. So we have some kind of visual. Yeah, something visual. There we go. So in our CSS, I'm gonna jump back here because we're gonna need to add a few additional things like animating these things. But let's just build out the basic styling of our style sheet here. So I'm gonna just remove the margins, the global margins. So we did this every time, so you should be familiar with this. So just getting rid of everything by margin, padding, and box sizing border box. Good. Let's make this bigger a bit. We don't need that much space in here. So on our section, remember that's the big one that contains everything. I'm just gonna add a height of 100 VH. Okay, so it's full screen. I'm gonna add a background color, and I choose one here, which is RGB. Let me take a look. 39, it's gonna be 41 and 68, like so. Hit save, and there we go. We have a nice color. I'm gonna add just a basic font family here, sans serif, like so. So it's not that ugly. Now our scoreboard, which is this one here, which we're gonna display up here. We're gonna add score. I'm gonna change the color to white. And actually, I kind of don't like the contrast on this. So what I usually like to do is bring it down a bit so it's a bit grayish, and that just looks a bit nicer on your eye. Yeah, there we go. But that's just me being crazy. Feel free to just leave it white. All right, I'm gonna add a height of 20 VH to this, just add a bit of spacing. And here I'm gonna add a display flex to this, like so. And then we need to add a justify content space around. So it goes horizontally, and align items center. So it's like that. Perfect. Nice. Looking good. Looking good. Another thing we need to do, let's go to the score H2. I'm gonna just increase the font size of this a bit bigger, like so. And another thing we can do is center the 0 in here. So we can do that by score B, text align. I'm gonna center this. I can add a bit of padding so it's not stuck in there, like so close to the player. Let's make this bigger too. Font size 25. Let's see how 25 looks. Yeah, that's okay. 25. Not too shabby. Okay, so what we're gonna need to do here is just put the intro screen, so the presentational screen up. We need to fade that out, and then we need to fade the game in. So for this, I'm just gonna do intro, our intro tag. we're gonna add the same color in here. Just paste this in here. Here we go. And here I'm gonna add a height of 50 VH, like so. All right, so this is our intro screen here. Height, we're gonna add the display flex. I'm gonna add a flex direction column to this. So it goes like this in vertical style. I'm gonna add a align, let's go down here, align item center. There we go. And then I'm gonna add a justify content space around, like so. Good, looks good. Perfect. Now let's change these up a bit. We're gonna add the intro H1, so our big title here. I'm gonna change the font size to 50 pixels. There we go, looking good. And the button, intro button, I think I had a green color on this. So I have a width of 150 pixels. There we go. And a height of 50 pixels, like so. And then we're gonna remove the background. I'm gonna say none. Good. And we can even remove the border, so no border. Then we can add a color of white, or actually the above color again. So let's copy paste that in here. Good. Let's add a bigger font size, 20 pixels. Good. And let's also add a background color. So I'm gonna add a background color of RGB 45, 117, and 96, like so. Let's see how that looks. Looks good. Should we add a border radius? Of course we should. Border radius, 5 pixels. 3 pixels. Okay, that's good. I don't want it to be too exaggerated. So what we need to do now is take this down here and put it on top of this one. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click, we're gonna fade this out, and then this is gonna come in. So actually, let's just style this first, and then we're gonna see how we do everything with the fading. So here, we're gonna get the match, all right? So the actual game that we're gonna play, we're gonna add a position absolute to this, like so. And then we're gonna add a top 50% and left 50%, like so. All right, and then we're gonna add a transform, translate, minus 50% and minus 50%, which is gonna center it nicely for us. Good. Now let's see what else do we need to do. Let's get the winner class here. So the winner is basically the choose an option here, because this is gonna update again to the actual winner when we play. This one is gonna have a color of white. Wait, was it white? No, it's not white. Color white. Good. I don't like the white one. I'm just gonna copy paste this one. Save. Yeah, okay, good. At least let's just stay consistent with everything. So we have the winner. Let's text align that to center, like so. Good, it's centered. What else do we need to do? Let's make a bigger font size on this. 50 pixels. And you know what? Actually, let me remove the other one because you cannot see what the hell is going on. So let's go to the intro and just add the opacity 0 for now. There we go. So this is what we have. I should have done that sooner. Ah, damn it. Okay. So 50, good. So we have these, and we need to take everything here, and what we need to do is just basically display flex them. So these are, if you remember, I believe they're the hands. So we have the match, the winner, which we styled right now. Then we have the hands and the options, okay? So actually we can do it with both, I think. Let's just do hands and options, so we can select both of them and display flex. Oh, there we go. Then let's do justify content space around. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks good. And then align items center. Good. All right, looks good. And you know what? For the buttons, we can also do this up here. So we can just do match and button. Like so. Oh, there we go. See, we just made our lives way easier. Perfect. Nice. Do we need anything else? What we need to also do is switch this one because it's in the bad position. So this one is the player hand. All right. So this, again, this is the player part and this is the computer part. So to switch that, we can do player hand, and then we can do transform rotate X 180 degrees. Well, that's that's not correct, because it's like, oh damn, microphone. It's like giving you the finger. So we don't want to give the finger. We want to do Y. That's the correct one. Okay, there we go. And now we need to make some classes that we're gonna add in JavaScript and remove. So to fade this thing out, we're gonna just create, well, we're gonna have a div with a specific class. So one's gonna be fade out. So what we wanna do when we fade something out, we wanna remove the opacity, and we can do pointer events, none. So what this is gonna do is basically you cannot click on an element. So if we add pointer events none to the whole intro section here, we cannot click on the intro section basically. So if we have the other section coming in, even though this is, because when you add just opacity 0, so let's also add the cursor pointer to the buttons, and I'll show you what I mean. Look, cursor pointer, okay? So all the buttons are gonna have the pointer, like so. As you can see, I can click. So when we add pointer events none, it's like the button is not even there. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna add the opacity and remove the opacity and add pointer events none, so we cannot click. Okay, let's add the fade in, which is gonna be just the opposite. Fade in, opacity 1, pointer events all. So we want all the pointer events. Good. Yeah, that's it. Let's start our JavaScript. So let's go into our JavaScript, close everything. There we go. Perfect. Everything opened up. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm basically gonna create just a few functions, and each function is gonna have its own role. So maybe we're gonna have a function that is gonna just compare the hands. We're gonna have a function that's gonna just update the scores. So that's how we are gonna kind of organize everything up in here. But for now, I just want to create a big function that's basically the whole game. So I'm gonna use a variable here, const game. We set it equal to, and I'm gonna use the shorthand, which is called the arrow function, which is written like so. So parentheses, equal, and bigger than. And then we open up some brackets, and here we are gonna write all of our code and all of our additional functions. So by what you're doing basically by this, you're scoping everything inside this function so you don't have global variables. By global variables are basically if I have a variable here, it can be accessed everywhere else. So this is kind of like self-containing all your code. And in here, the first things that we're gonna need is I'm gonna just get the score of these two. I'm gonna say let. I'm gonna use let because we're gonna update the score. So I'm gonna do like, we're gonna have a player score. So I'm gonna say p score is 0. So eventually we're gonna do something like p score plus plus. So we add 1 to it every time we win. And then we're gonna also do the c score, which is the computer score. So these are all the two that we need to be in global scope, because we're going to use them somewhere down in here later on. Good. Then we are going to create a start game function, which is the only role of it is going to be to fade our beginners. Actually, we kind of need to add this back. So let's go back to our CSS. I apologize, because we removed the intro screen. So this one. So I'm going to remove the intro like so. So we have this on top. And in my index, I'm gonna go to the match and I'm gonna add a fade out like this. Okay, I apologize, I forgot about this. So just remove the intro opacity and just add fade out class to the match. And there we go, we have our introduction screen. So we're gonna have another function, which is basically, I'm gonna create it the same way we did this. So I'm gonna have this in here. I'm gonna say const start game. This is gonna be a function that's all it's gonna do is just fade this out and fade the other thing back in. So what I'm doing here is rather than adding all the elements up here, I'm kind of restraining myself to create all the variables inside the functions that I need them. So here, I know that all I need is the 2 pages. So I'm gonna get the play button, which is this one. play button, like so, is equal to document.querySelector, and it is called, I believe, intro button. Okay, so it's intro button. Like so. I'm gonna make this full screen for a bit. Again, there's no point for me to put this up here. If I put it up here, it's gonna work, but I'm not gonna need this in here, so in this scope. So I'm kind of restraining myself and just using everything I need in one function, okay? And things like these that I need across multiple functions, I'm gonna put in this scope here. Okay, so we have this. We also need to get the intro screen, so I'm gonna say const intro screen is equal to document.querySelector. I'm getting so hot in here. I should have turned down the heat, which is just gonna be the intro, okay? So the whole thing, the whole page. And also the match screen, it's gonna be document.querySelector, and this one is gonna be the match, okay? Perfect. So what we need to do is on play button dot add event listener. So every time we click on the let's play, we are gonna run something in here. So every time we click, and the other argument is a function, so make sure to remember that. And rather than writing function like so, you can use the shorthand method. Again, just arrow function, just parentheses again, equal, bigger than, and brackets, okay? Like so. Good, and what do we want here? Well, intro class, intro screen, not class, dot class list dot add the fade out. We want to fade out the intro screen, this one. Hit save. It's not working. Console, save. Okay, so why is it not working? Well, we have this big function here, right? And we created a inner function in this function. Okay, and what we need to do is execute the function, but this never gets executed. So what we need to do is call the start game. So what we're gonna do down here is call all the inner functions. So here you can imagine that we're gonna have something called like start game, update score. Okay, so basically why we did this like so is a way to organize everything nicely in here. So you have the big function and then you have all these small functions that it's gonna run at the end. But at the same time, outside of this big function, we also have to call the game one. So here, start the game function. I'm just gonna call game down here, okay? So this is where you execute the big one, and in here, this is gonna execute all the small code. I know it's a bit weird, but it is what it is. Delete this, start game, save, let's see. Do we have luck? And we do. Now there's a problem. That was kind of fast. I mean, if you're Flash, might be slower for you, but what we need to do is add a transition to our intro. Transition, we're gonna add 0.5 seconds ease. We need to eat, what are we transitioning? The opacity, like so. Ease, and yeah, that's it. And I'm gonna copy this, and let's go to the match as well, because we're gonna transition this in as well. And I'm gonna add a small delay to this. So you can add a delay just by after the ease, you can just add it down here. Save, let's see, do we have luck? Oh yeah, okay. Now what do we need to do? What do we need to do with the match? Well, we need to fade in. So match.classlist.add the fade in. Time to pray, let's pray, and there we go. It works nicely. Good. So we have that going, and we are done with this function. We don't need to do anything else. We only use variables that we use in here and nothing more. So I'm clicking here. So this is gonna start the game. Okay, what else do we need? Well, we need one that's called play match, okay? So everything in here is going to revolve around the actual game. So play match. I'm going to comment them so it's a bit easier to see. And what we need to do here is create a function called play match. It's going to be equal to another arrow function, like so. And let's think of what we need. Well, let's take a look. Well, we need the options, okay? We need to get the rock, paper, and scissors. So the user, the player's options. So let's get that. We need to write const, and we're gonna say options, like so. This is gonna be equal to document.querySelector. All, I'm gonna query select all, and here we have options button, like so. So this is gonna select all the buttons from the options, like so. Good. What else do we need? Well, we need the hands, so the actual images. To get those, we can say const player hand is equal to document.querySelector, and we named it player hand. We can get the computer hand just by replacing this computer hand, and here computer. Hopefully it's correct. Let me make sure. Yep, player hand, computer hand. So these are the images that we're getting. Good. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to also get the computer's options. Computer options. Now, what are the computer's options? Well, this is kind of going to be randomly generated because, yeah, what we need to do is just generate a random number between 0, 1, and 2, and we're going to associate the different numbers to a symbol, so to, not symbol, to like rock, paper, or scissors, to an image. Okay, so what we need to do, now how are we generating a random number? Well, we can use something called math.random. So let's do that. Let's first generate, let's actually make an array first. So I'm gonna say const computer options, like so. And we are gonna have rock, paper, and scissors. So I'm gonna have 3 strings in here, like so. And let's generate a random number, and then based on that number index, we're gonna get a value out of this. You're gonna see it in 1 second, I promise. So what we can do is create a variable called const. Let's do computer number. We're gonna set this equal to math.random. So this is a function here, and then we're gonna have to add times 3. And all this is gonna do, because math.random is gonna generate a random number between 0 and 1. So if we times this by 3, well, you guessed it, it's just gonna multiply everything. So what else we need to do here is down here, we're gonna call the function play match. Let's also console log this and see what we get. Computer number. Let's see. Do we get the const? So we get 2, refresh, 2, 3, 0.5. All right, you get the idea. But I don't want this long ass number. I want to have 0, 1, and 2. So what we can do is take everything in here and wrap it in parentheses, and we can do math.floor, like so. What this is gonna do, it's gonna take all the numbers and it's gonna convert it into one single one without the dots and the extra numbers, and it's just gonna generate one between 0, 1, and 2. 0, 1, 2, as you can see down there. Good. So what we can do with this is basically get the computer options and just add computer number in here. And what this is going to give us is a random rock, paper, or scissor. Okay. Now, before we use this, we need to also get the buttons. Okay. So we don't want this to run. We only want everything in here to run after we click on one of these. So we are going to add this thing in the event listener. So I'm going to loop through each by writing options dot for each. And here you're going to get the, you can add an arrow function in here like so, and we are getting the option. So each individual button that we can choose. And since we only have one parameter, what you can also do is get rid of the parentheses. So if you have only one in here, you can get rid of the parentheses, okay? So in here, each option is gonna be, each button. So here we can option, so on each button we can add an event listener, and on click, we can run a function. And as you can see here, I added a normal function, and I'm going to show you why, console log, because we're going to use this in here. So this, if I use this in here, you're going to see that this is going to mean whatever we click on. See, so whatever we click on is going to console log that thing. And the reason we use it, we use a normal function here. If we use an arrow function, then the keyword this is not going to be bound to this option, okay? It's not going to bind to this one. So this is going to be window now. So we just use a regular function, and then this, well, we look left on our dot, it's going to be the option, okay? So good. So we can copy this down from here, and we're going to paste it up in here. Okay, so here, this is going to be the computer choice. Like so. So we're going to have the computer number, and then we're going to have the computer choice, which is, all it's going to be is, well, the options from up here. So we're going to get that array, computer options, and then we're just going to feed this random number, because you know we can access each individual elements from this array with 0, which is going to be rock, 1 is going to be paper, and 2 is going to be scissors. Well, we have this that's randomly generating for us, so every time we click, this is going to be randomly generated, so we can just add this computer number in here. So if we console log computer choice now, well, it's just going to return us a random number. Let's see. In theory. Yeah, as we can see, we're getting randomly generated computer options. Good. So we did the computer options. Nice. What else do we need? Well, we need the player options as well. And we also need a thing that's going to check who wins. So many things still to do. But before we do that, let's just create a comparison. So I'm going to create a comparison function. And in that comparison function, what's going to happen is I'm going to feed the choice that we made. And it's also going to have a lot of if statements that's gonna compare who's winning. Okay, that I know sounds kind of weird, but let's do that. So what we're gonna do is outside of our, let's see here, outside of our play match, we're gonna create a function that's basically just gonna check who should get the score, who's winning, and all the other good stuff. So I'm gonna create something called const compare hands, like so, and here it's going to be another arrow function, but I also want to add the values of the choices that we make from the play match. So I know I'm going to have a player choice and a computer choice. Again, I'm going to call that function up in here. So we're going to call it every time we click on an option. This is going to be called in here. Okay. So that's when we're going to pass the computer choice. We're going to pass it in here. And this is not correct, is it? Like so. Computer choice. Good. Okay, so here is where we call compare hands. Good. So let's see what we need to do in here. Well, we need to get the text first. So we need to get this. And actually, let's do this a bit later because we need to update this as well. But for now, let's just do if player choice triple equals with computer choice. Well, if they're both the same, then what I need to do is, let's just get the winner thing. So this is going to be update text. Let's do document const winner is equal to document.query selector winner. So I basically want to get this text here. Okay, that's all I'm doing now. And if they're equal, if they're the same, then what do I want to do? Well, winner.inner content, not inner content, text content. I got confused by inner HTML. Is equal to it is a tie. Good, nice. And if we get here, well, I don't want to run this function anymore. So what we can do is just return, which is going to end the function. Okay, so this is one. We are checking for a tie. Good. Let's also check for rock. Okay, so if we get the rock, we can do if player choice triple equals with rock. I'm gonna do lowercase. Make sure you do everything lowercase. Since we did everything lowercase, let's do lowercase. So if we get the rock, and this is a bit kind of trippy, we need to add another if statement. Okay, and the reason why we do that is if we check the player if it's rock, and then we compare it to the computer's choices. So here we can do if computer choice triple equals with scissors, like so. Then we're gonna say winner dot text content equals with player wins. Because what's happening here? Well, okay, we have rock. So if this is true, then we're gonna get to this if statement. And if the computer choice has scissors, then we win. Well, what is the other alternative? Well, the computer has paper. So else, obviously, the computer wins here. So winner dot text content is equals to computer wins. Like so. Good. And now also we need to do in here is return. So in here, return, and in here, return as well. So we end the function anyway. So even if it gets here, even if the player wins, even if the computer wins, at the end of the day, we still want to return everything. So again, it's kind of weird. You have an if statement that just checks the player. If the player has rock, then okay, if the computer has scissors, then the player wins, else the computer has paper, so the computer wins. And we're kind of gonna repeat this kind of switcheroo in here. So I just copy this, everything we have, and yeah, we can just copy paste everything. And here we're gonna also check for the paper. So check for paper. Not much changes in here. So if the player choice is paper, then if computer choice is scissors, then the computer wins. And here the player wins. And then we can do it again for scissors. Check for scissors. And here, well, scissors. And if the computer choice is scissors, well, not scissors. So this is a problem here. We need to add rock for the computer choice or paper. So this is going to be the computer choice is either going to have rock or paper. So if it's rock, then the computer wins. And if it's paper, well, then we win. Oh, Jesus Christ. There we go. And yeah, I think that should be it. Let's make sure everything is okay. Rock, scissors, else paper, paper, scissors, or paper, yeah, and scissors, rock. Oh God, what are we doing with our lives? Okay, that's it. So up here, we're gonna call this compare hands function, okay? Okay, so to also make this visual a bit, I'm gonna change the images based on what the user picks and what we pick. So to do that, before we call the function, I'm gonna do update images, okay? And then here, I'm just gonna get the player hands. So these are the images here, these two, okay? I'm gonna do player hand dot source is equal to, I'm gonna access the assets folder that we have, like so. And actually, let's do the backticks here, because it's gonna make everything look easier and nicer. So backticks, the number next to 1, the symbol next to 1, and then we do assets, like so. And in here, to access what we're choosing, remember that in here, in our options, we get the this keyword. In here, I mean the event listener. In here, we have access to this, which just returns whatever we click on. So this, whoa. This is gonna be the button. So we can actually get the text in here. So this dot text content, okay? So we are just updating the images. So this is gonna be image assets slash rock, paper, or scissors, depending on what we pick, .png. And to get the computer one, we can do computer hand dot source equals to, again, backticks, assets, and then what we can do is do the dollar, like so, and the curly brackets, and we can do computer choice, okay? This one, that's randomly giving us rock, paper, or scissors, .png, and let's see if this works. Okay, we're getting randomly generated. If we pick paper, goes paper, rock, scissors, and the computer one is randomly generated. Good. Okay, I think I saw gang sign in there, but hey, it is what it is. Okay, so let's also check with these. So we update the score up here. And not the score, the text up here. So let's see if this works. What we need to do is say compare hands. So we're calling this big function here, and we need to feed these two values, so the player choice and the computer choice. So to do that, we can do this dot text content again, and the computer choice. All right, let's see. So it's a tie, that's correct. Computer wins. I have paper, he has scissors, that's correct. It's a tie. Okay, so everything works fine. Now, there are a few things we need to do. We need to add the animation and update the score. So to update the score, we can also just do a separate function. So the way we did down here with the compare hands, we can just go again outside of all this big thing, so the play match, and we can just create another function. So update score is equal to, and just another arrow function, we can do const player score is equal to document.query selector. We can get the player score P. Okay, now I'm using P here because I believe we have P. Yeah, there we go. Player score P and computer score P. So many P's and 0 poops. Okay, hit save, copy paste this. I'm gonna say computer score. And here we're gonna have computer score P. Good. We can do player score dot text content is equal to P score, the variable that we have up here. And to do the other one, computer score dot text content equals to C score, like so. And that's it. That's all we need to do here. Now, well, when do we call this function? Well, we need to call it every time a choice gets made down here. So before we return anything here, so make sure it's above the return, else it's not gonna work. So every time up here, well, what do we need to do? Well, first we need to increment this number because if we don't increment it, well, this update is going to be 0, so it's still going to remain at 0. We're never changing the values up here, so this function right now is kind of pointless. So yeah, let's update everything in our compare hands. So if it's tie, we don't want anything to change. If our player wins, we want p-score plus plus. Computer score wins, then we want c-score plus plus, like so. And we can copy this, and down here, computer wins, player wins, just update everything. So computer wins, then we want c-score, and if the player wins, then we want the other one. p-score, here we want c-score plus plus. Good. So now we're updating the numbers, these numbers, every time we get to a choice. Now we also want to update the score, so the actual elements that we see on the screen, because this works now, but it doesn't update this. So to update everything, well, after we increase the score, so the variable, we can update the score like so. So we can run this function every time we make a change in our variables. So let's update the score everywhere, make sure everything is good, hit save. Let's take a look. Okay, it works, but as you can see, the first value doesn't get updated. Wait, let's try that again. Okay, never mind, everything is okay. Good, all right, so everything works just fine. Perfect. Let's see, what else do we need to do? Well, we need to add the animation. So let's go back to our CSS and let's create the animation real quick, and we are done with it. So we can do keyframes here, and we are gonna say shake player. Okay, we're gonna use the player. And one important thing here, we're gonna animate it to do like that. We also need to keep the rotation, because remember we have a rotation on this player image. So make sure to also add that in here. So we can do transform, and we need to keep the rotate Y at 180 degrees, but we also want to translate the Y to, well, we're gonna start at 0 pixels, and then we are gonna modify this. Let's add, I don't know, 15, and then we're gonna move this to minus 50 pixels. So the Y. Good, nice. So this is the whole thing. I know, pretty crazy, but hey, we're just moving it up and down here. Good, so what we can do is also have one for the computer, and the only difference is we're just gonna remove the rotate. So it's the same thing. So keyframes, and we're gonna name this shake computer. And this is gonna be, we're gonna copy everything here, paste it in here, and just make sure to remove everything from the rotation, because we don't need to rotate this one, like so. Perfect. Let's hit save, and that's all we need. Let's go back and add it in here. Now the problem is that everything that happens is gonna happen in an instant, and we don't want it to, like, let's say we click let's say paper, we don't want our hand to be like this. Okay, we want it to start from rock, like so, and then update at the end, and even the score and everything else. We want everything to update at the end. Okay, so after our animation. Now, whoa, how do we do that? Well, what we can do is we can set a timeout on our functions. On this compare hands, we can set a timeout, and after our animation is done, then we can update the score and the hands. So let's just add the animation first. So player hand dot style dot animation is equal to shake player 2 seconds ease. Let's copy paste this. I'm gonna add it to the computer as well. Computer hand style animation is computer player. Is this correct? I'm not sure. shake computer, shake player, computer player, shake computer, and shake player. Shake player, shake. Okay. Oh Jesus. Okay. So now let's see. Do we get the animation? Okay. That. So that kind of looks weird, but as you can see, everything updates as soon as I hit, and yeah, that's not good. And also, if we hit again, it doesn't work anymore because we already added the animation, so it's not gonna remove it. So what we can do is actually we can remove these animations after they finish. So to remove the animations, let's just quickly go up here to the play match, okay? And here I'm gonna just grab both hands images, the ones that we're animating. I'm gonna say hands is document.query selector all, and I'm gonna do hands image. So I'm gonna get both of the hands, and on the hands I want for each hand, so we're gonna add another function like so. We're gonna add on each individual hand an event listener that's gonna listen to animation end. So this is gonna run every time the animation ends. And again, as you can see, I'm adding a normal function because in here I'm gonna have access to this, which is gonna refer to each hand. And we can do this .style.animation is equal to nothing. So I'm gonna leave an empty string here. So every time our animation ends, this is gonna run and it's gonna remove everything. Let's save, hit. So we should be able to do this again, and there we go, we can do it again. Nice. All right, let's delay this and make sure we have everything nice. So, do we need to delay the animation? No, we want that to run instantly. So the animation, we need this to go as soon as possible. What else do we need to update? Well, we need these to update and this. And after how much time? Well, we do the animations for 2 seconds. So let's just update everything in here after 2 seconds. So I'm gonna take everything I wanna update after 2 seconds. I'm gonna copy it, cut it actually. I'm gonna call something set timeout, like so. And as you can see, it's just gonna add, well, I don't want an arrow function, so I'm gonna write this manually. Set timeout, like so. And here, actually I do wanna add an arrow function. You can add an empty arrow function, like so. And here you can call everything that we have, okay? And by the way, this takes a function as its first parameter, and the second parameter is gonna be the time. So how long you wanna delay this function. So we're gonna add 2000 because it's gonna take it in milliseconds. So I'm gonna add 2000, and in here, we're just gonna call the function and the updating the images. Let's take a look, and there we go. So everything updates right after we are done. And it's getting hella dark in here, so I don't want to waste any more of your time, but hopefully you enjoy this. You can also make another function if you want and check when the player score, so P-score, reaches, I don't know, 10, then you can restart the whole game. Okay, so you can also work on adding more to this if you want. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, it's getting already so dark. I'm so hot in this. It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, thank you again so much for watching. Please drop a subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And hey, I'm really curious to see how this goes for you guys. All right, take care. Bye-bye.